it might be time to panic about the Denver Nuggets, or it might not be. And there's a plenty of reasons why on both counts. We're going to talk about the Nuggets loss next here on Locked On Nuggets.
You are Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Nuggets, your daily Denver Nuggets podcast, part of the Locked On Network, your team every day. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode and being an everydayer, making us your first listen as we bring you the best possible Denver Nuggets coverage that we can. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Use your profit boost for an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. My name is Ryan Blackburn, host here at Locked On Nuggets, also over at Mile High Sports and the Pickaxe and Roll podcast. I've been in the building for 7 years, gone through mostly ups, but some downs, and there's been plenty of downs. He is Matt Moore at HP Basketball, covering the Denver Nuggets for 14 seasons, 14 long seasons.
Screw you, man.
As he does great work for the Denver Dig, the Action Network, HP Hardwood Paroxysm, and plenty of places you can find his work. On today's episode, we're going to talk about today's ugly, gross loss to the Golden State Warriors that might have some hidden reasons why it happened in the way that it did, even if it feels horrible. We're going to talk about Denver's championship odds and why you shouldn't necessarily feel that much panic, as well as a conversation about David Adelman and some of the clutch convos that have been popping up for this Nuggets team. Matt, this game started off with Denver immediately going down double digits after they found out, and then requisitely did not adjust to the fact that Draymond Green was not going to be in the starting lineup for the Golden State Warriors. Al Horford, shockingly enough, shoots threes as the center position, and Denver did not adjust to that on the fly. They were down double digits and then worked their way back into the game, but then ultimately lost it in the end. Where do you want to go first?
I told you that I wanted to go all the negative stuff first, and then because I have spoiler alert, my reaction to this game is not what Nuggets fans is. Like, Nuggets fans are apoplectic and losing their minds. There's a comment over at youtube.com/LockedOnNuggets. Season's over. The play-in is unavoidable. All this, and the Clippers loss was genuinely horrific. This one I feel differently about, but I went for a walk after the game with my beautiful and lovely wife, and she was like, people just want to be mad and sad. And I was like, that's fair. So let's be mad and sad.
Right up my alley.
Adelman said after the game that the game was lost in the first quarter, and I agree with him. Everyone is going to index on the clutch stuff, which we're going to talk about in detail on this show. But to me, this is all about when you're in this spot, and I've talked so much about this on Locked On NBA Daily, on Locked On NBA Game Night, on Locked On Nuggets, and on Buckets. I do 4 podcasts. I've talked about in all of them that the letdown spot is a real danger. When they pull guys late, you haven't done the scouting report, and there's a mental letdown. Oh, I don't have to worry about this guy. Draymond Green's not going to be trying to molest me for 48 minutes. But the problem with that is the only way to be able to beat those teams is you have to jump out and you have to punch them in the mouth and be like, you're not winning today. Don't get any Cinderella ideas. Don't get all we can do it. No, we are punching you in the mouth. We are better than you. This game is over. You guys can just go ahead and start planning for the next game. This is a trashy game. You're not catching us off guard. And instead, because of reasons we'll talk about later, they got caught with their pants down. They let the Warriors hit them first, and then they're chasing the entire game. And I just cannot stress this enough. When you let teams get into a rhythm, you are inviting disaster. When you are not a good defensive team to start, if you let them get into a rhythm, it's going to only exacerbate your problems because they're moving the ball faster and they are confident and they're shooting with confidence. And this is what happens. So to me, this is on, you have regardless of the context, which again, we'll get to, you have to come out and you have to hit them first. That's what you have to do. And to me, that is a much bigger problem than being in the clutch and getting beaten by Brandon Pajemski.
Yeah, but they also were in the clutch and got beat by Brandon Pajemski upside the wall. Like it happens over and over again. And I agree with you on both counts. I think the middle of this game, the Nuggets did a lot of great things. I thought Nikola Jokic particularly was very good in the middle of this game. But the most important places in this game were the first and fourth quarter, where Denver put themselves in a hole immediately, whether it was aggressiveness or lack thereof on different parts. I continue to think that Jamal doesn't look right. He looks like he is very bothered on this hamstring. It's not an excuse. That's just what I see. I thought that the lack of aggressiveness in terms of like getting all the way to the cup for Jokic initially was bad. It's why he started off the game like 2 of 9, 1 of 7, whatever it was. And I also think that the big key for Denver, letting Jokic and Murray not be on the floor towards the middle of that fourth quarter. It took them until the 6-minute mark to get both of those guys back in at the same point. It felt like Denver lost a lot of momentum and stuff that they had built up over the course of the third quarter specifically, where they collect the lead. They're up 6 to 8 points, and they come back in and they're tied, and they immediately drop. Like those guys, it's on them. Like there were 4 straight turnovers for Jokic, then Brown, then Murray, then Murray. Like those are the 4 guys that came in right at that point, and they stunk it up right when they got back in. It's an inexcusable way for that game to be dropped. Like that's just, it happens over and over again. And I think that both of those like aspects in the first and fourth quarter are equally to play in a loss like this.
Yeah, I guess my thing is, and people are like, they were up 10, Matt. They would have been up 30 if you come out and hit them in the mouth.
Again, 100%. Yeah.
You gave them belief. You let them think that they were in that game. And once you do that against any NBA team with the talent that they have, you're going to run into this problem.
Yeah.
I want to talk a little bit about this Jokic Jamal thing, because Katie kind of put good context on it after the game, Katie Wingy, on Twitter. And what she was saying was like, I do want to go back to this. Ryan, what were we saying consistently over the last 2 seasons about the minutes with Joker and Jamal? What were we saying?
That the minutes where they are on the floor together are amazing, and the stagger doesn't work.
And also that they're too high, right? Joker's playing 38 minutes. Yeah. Joker's playing 36 minutes. You got to get his minutes down.
Yeah.
This is where I go crazy, is that fans are like, they're like, you can't be gassing him out. Don't be playing him that many minutes. Let's get his minutes down. Yeah. And then when Joker comes in later into the fourth quarter, why wasn't Joker on the floor sooner? Okay, guys, he can't have
it both ways.
He can't not play and play at the same time.
Yeah.
And like, we're going to talk about Adelman in the second segment, because I think that's where we should do the clutch conversation. And there's, fans are frustrated and have a lot. I was calling this early in the season where I was like, hey, you used to be awesome in the clutch and you're not anymore. What'd you change? We'll talk about that. But I just think that you can't really be here. And also my other problem is I am really sick of being like, get Joker back in. Joker's clutch rating is the problem. Like, it's Joker, Jamal, it's the starters.
Yeah.
The starters are the ones getting killed.
And I like, and we can go over this a little bit more when we do the actual clutch conversation. I think it's those two that have the most ownership over this. It is not the coaching staff. It is not other guys. It's those guys. Like the ball is in their hands and they have an opportunity to make plays and they don't.
Just to wrap up like the big picture conversation, I just want to be very clear on this. When we start talking about like this is the stuff that drives me nuts. Joker had 30 and 20 and they didn't need all that. Do you think that they needed 35, 12, 20 and 12 from Joker, or did they need more defense? Because I will say they needed more defense. Oh, Joker started off slow and missed some shots early. Did they need more shots made, or did they need to actually guard the three-pointer for the team that is #1 in the league? Hashtag in the scouting report for the everydayers in three-point rate. I wrote about this before the game. You could have found it in either the everydayers in the Supercast or in our Discord. The whole thing was they're going to try and Matthew. That's the only way they can win this game, because they do not have any driving force. They've got no one who can create downhill. Now, Pajemski got going, but they don't have any of that creation. You have to guard the three, and it's wide open three after wide open three after wide open three, and that's how this gets started. So I don't care about the offense. Your problem was the defense. That's the problem. That's what they got to fix.
Yeah. if we're playing the blame game, that is where blame number one starts. It is the defense from minute one of this game. And there's no other questions about it. Like, yes, the turnover sucked. Yes, you have some guys that are not showing up or not executing in some of these important moments on the offensive end. But they are 7th in clutch net rate or in clutch offensive rating. They are 29th and closer to 30th than 28th in their clutch defense. So we've got plenty of stuff to talk about, plenty to complain about, but also plenty to adjust about. We will talk about a variety of different things on the second segment. When we come back, we'll do the clutch conversation and David Adelman here on Locked On Nuggets. Folks, shoot your shot on Prize Picks and get $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. That's right. Prize Picks is giving you $50 in lineups when you sign up and play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks makes every dunk, every dime, and every board that much more exciting. It's America's #1 app for sports picks. They make it so simple to play. All you do is choose more or less on 2 to 6 stat projections. And if your picks are right, you can cash in. You can choose from basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, UFC, and more. Plus, they've got features like early payouts and flex play, So you've got options while the games are still happening. When I downloaded the app, I was just so surprised at how easy it was to get started. It took just a couple of minutes to build my first lineup. I've been making NBA lineups all season on players I already follow, picking more or less on points and assists, and honestly makes every possession that much more fun. Available in all 50 states, so it's easy to for just about anybody to jump in. Download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, it's good to be right. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. All right, folks, we are back. Locked On Nuggets. Thank you so much for tuning into the show. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. As Matt mentioned, make sure to check out Every Dayer Club. We've been having so much fun in the Discord. It really is popping. You get to ride the highs and emotional lows in situations like these. But the good thing is you get to do it together with other Nuggets fans that are also having a great time. And like they're diehards just like you. So absolutely make sure to check it out. LockedOnNuggets.supercast.com. Make sure to click the first link in the description. Okay, Matt, let's do the clutch conversation. You and I have gone back and forth on this previously where I don't want to speak entirely for you, but it's more or less random segment of 48 minutes in your mind where it's the last 5 minutes and those are just as important as not just as important, but like pretty close to as important as the first 43 minutes. And you shouldn't over extrapolate from those particular minutes over the others. Is that correct?
So this is a little bit complicated. What I will tell you, I'm doing some analysis on this. And I'll have the numbers for you probably tomorrow of the correlation between playoff success and clutch performance. Mm-hmm. There's anecdotally like a lot of stuff that says you need to be clutch, like the good, but the problem I have with some of that is it's like, oh, well, these teams that won the championship or made the conference finals were clutch. Yeah, you know why? Because they were also good. Like they were just good overall. Yeah. The Nuggets are a good team who is outlier bad in the clutch. What does that really mean? What is your position on the clutch stuff?
My position is that this is so drastically different from the first 10 years of watching Nikola Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. Now, it hasn't always been so good that it's this noticeable, but it is now so bad that it is noticeable, and it is a drastically different feeling. And there have been so many different segments of clutch play that they have that some of the numbers that they have going in there are like, okay, there's a whole bunch of games where they're giving up offensive rebounds, and they did give one an important one today. But like a lot of that happened without Jokic. Some of that happened without Murray. There are a lot of different situations that they're obviously going to have those guys on the floor when they're playing. But like with Jokic on the floor in the clutch, they're 6-13 so far this season. That is a pretty gross number when they're 14-15 overall. So to me, it's at least a concern.
Okay. All right. So you mentioned how good they were for 10 years. And I've talked about this of like, hey, what's the difference? What has changed from last year to this year? And you can't really look at the roster. You can't be like, it's Michael Porter Jr. who didn't play in a lot of clutch situations for very specific reasons.
No, there's 2.5 guys. It is Jokic, Murray, and then half of the games that Aaron Gordon's played.
And then the other thing is it's like, so then everyone points to Adelman. So my question here is, what do you think Adelman is doing? Because everyone's like, it's Adelman. What do you think Adelman is doing wrong?
I don't think Adelman's doing anything wrong.
Okay.
Personally. Like,
all right.
That's my personal position on this. I think that he's doing a lot of the same things that Michael Malone would do. I think that if there is one thing that I had to pick, I think he lets the possessions run a little bit too consistently, where a lot of these runs that other teams, like there was a 15-0 run that happened today. Like, I think that happened in part because David Adelman did not call a timeout when he needed to. I think that he is in the school of thought that Chris Finch is in, where he oftentimes would let his team run with the Minnesota Timberwolves.
Special, actually.
And it was a lot of like, that's a style. You want to let the players kind of decide it on the floor. You don't want to interrupt the flow. You think, figure it out, guys, figure it out. But like when you see a timeout that needs to be called and then you actively don't do it, like that to me is working against what the clutch minutes are supposed to be, when you're supposed to value possessions as much as they need to, and they're turning the ball over at a higher rate than they do during the other 43 minutes, which is it's not his fault, but like part of the reason is that flow is going on and they're not valuing the possessions enough.
People are very mad at you for saying that he's not doing anything wrong because they want it to just be, well, clearly he's doing something wrong. It
has to be something, right? Like it's a requirement that somebody has to be to blame.
Yeah, exactly. That's the question here.
Yeah.
What explains them being, and it's the defense, you mentioned the offense, it's the defense. What explains them being specifically bad in the clutch? Like what is specifically the problem? Because they're not running different coverages. It's not like they're running more zone or less zone. What is it that they're doing differently in the clutch?
You know what it is? They are losing 50-50 balls more than they ever have. Like that's an anecdotal thing that I can't really back up by hard evidence.
No, but that's fair. That we don't have to go down a data rope for this just because one of our co-hosts doesn't believe in it. With that, like, is there a reason why they would lose more 50-50 balls in the clutch versus the rest of the game?
No, I think the 50-50 balls thing is a thing that happens throughout the game, and it's just another thing that continues to happen and continues to plague them in these situations. It's the offensive rebounds that careen out to the 3-point line. It is those ones that are backbreaking, because like you and I have a different feeling on how painful the second chance points are. Swipa seems to think that they need to play Zeke Naji for some reason, like because they are too small. You're muted.
Other people think this too, guys.
Not going to happen.
Well, I think here's the question is like, we can talk about like whether they should or not. And then there's like, it's not going to happen, but we can still talk about if they should. Look, the offensive rebounding is worse when Zeke's on the floor. The offensive rebounding with Nikola Jokic on the court is worse when Zeke Naji's on the floor. So if you're going to talk about, you need rim protection and rebounding, Zeke provides neither of it, even though it's like, but I've seen Zeke make these blocks. Cool. Those are in very specific situations that don't occur. He does not know how to cover for Nikola in the way that you need. I agree they need a power forward.
Yeah.
Like they need a real power forward on the floor at all times. And honestly, a lot of it's like Spencer's just not like ready for, like Spencer's second year. Like he's a second year two-way guy.
He's looked shaky since he's come back. On both ends of the floor, I would say. Actually, well, the scoring, yes, on the Friday was pretty good. But like, you're right. They have specific needs that they haven't had, like not having Aaron Gordon. I think Aaron Gordon has a positive record in the clutch, if I'm not mistaken. And
I want to note on this. Sorry, I want to note on this. Casey Nicole says Zeke is a better perimeter defender. Not in the system that they run. He's good when you can run switch all. Are they going to run switch all?
No.
Are you going to run switch with Joker?
They'll switch 1-4. And maybe he could switch on to some of those guards.
And Cam's actually suggesting they switch with Joker, which is like, bro.
Well, he wants to switch and pre-rotate. He's been talking about that a lot, and I understand why, because then it mitigates the actual advantage that there's no large advantage. There's a whole bunch of small advantages that teams are trying to take advantage of. But like, the clutch stuff, I don't think it's an Adelman thing. There is some criticism, I think, for the schemes and for their inability to execute said schemes defensively. I would put that more at the feet of Jared Dudley and the actual players themselves rather than David Adelman making choices. But like,
I mean,
at the end of the day,
ultimately he's responsible. It's his staff. It's his team. Like,
yeah,
I'm with you. I agree with what you're saying. Like, because you're just basically pointing out, like, it's not like Adelman is like, no, guys, let's turn the ball over and not get back in transition. Right.
Yeah.
Because like Ryan Blackburn fan, who I'm enjoying very much, is asking like, don't you guys agree Zeke should have played over Val in this matchup? Val is actually fine. Like, it wasn't. I know you don't like it, but when we look at like the overall impact, they would have been fine. Would have been okay. You running switch all versus this Warriors team is not a good idea because they know how to punish it even without Draymond. What you're going to have then is you're just going to have Al Horford slipping the screen every single time and then kicking the corners.
So what are the actual advantages that you're getting from playing Val out there if you're not winning the rebounding battle?
A presence at the rim. Like, he actually, I know that it's like he gets beat, Ryan, but like, he's at least a physical presence. He does body guys. He does hit.
Okay. I mean, I don't think you're right. They just didn't challenge him, but then it allowed the ball to be worked around to the perimeter on a consistent basis.
Honestly, the reality here is like Joe, like, again, I don't want to talk about Val. Joker had a 172 defensive rating in the fourth quarter. And I know that everyone's like, it wasn't on him. Okay. It wasn't helping. Like, that's Joker had terrible defense, awesome defense in the third quarter. He was great.
So they scored 16 points in the fourth quarter as a team. 16 is pretty low.
Do you feel like offense was the problem tonight?
Not through the first three quarters, but I do think that in the fourth quarter, especially with the bench out there, it really started to be a problem.
Okay.
I mean, they can both be true. Like, they sucked. It was bad.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, here's what's weird is like Cam Johnson was 1 of 7, and he actually had a really good defensive game, but they got torched in his minutes.
Yeah,
because this was a really weird game. It was a really weird game. It was, and like, I understand the temptation. Look, Adelman. I understand how people are feeling about Adelman. I would remind you, like, think about how you felt about him after the Clipper series, and really after the Thunder series, and how you felt to start this year. He is both that coach and the coach that has had this problem. And like, he will tell you he's learning and trying to get better. I don't think Adelman's been perfect. I think that but I will tell you this. My big differential here with the clutch stuff is, what's the big difference between Malone and Adelman in your mind? Because to my mind, it's that Malone screams and yells and is fiery and passionate and wants to win more than anybody else out there. And they turned on him. And one of the reasons that they talked up David is they were like, it's so nice to have somebody who's just like chill. Like, he's just got a really cool head on his shoulders.
In the middle of that 15-0 run, he was looking like this the entire time. Just like,
right?
Not going to react.
People didn't want the hot head anymore from Malone.
Yeah. I mean,
this is the other side of that coin. There's gives and takes with everything, because Malone did, like, he harped on stuff too much. He focused on the negative too much. But I also say, like, we are now many years into this, and I'm just like, I'm seeing the same stuff from this coaching staff that I saw from the previous coaching staff, which is they don't know how to get these guys to defend. And I'm sorry. I know that everybody wants to blame particular people and not other people. At some point, you have to look at what the commonalities are. There's a comment tonight from somebody that was covering the Knicks that was talking about how the Knicks have been playing awesome defense lately. They've been absolutely incredible. And a lot of it's because Jalen Brunson has just like played harder. Brunson's a terrible defender. He's small. He's laterally slow. He gets beaten in every single matchup, but he is busting his ass right now defensively. He is giving absolute effort on every single possession, and it's benefiting because now the other Knicks don't have to compensate for him. Now, I just want to be very clear on this. I think the worst defender over the last 2 months, last month, has been Jamal Murray, because I think he absolutely burned his legs out having to carry when Joker was out. I think he's gassed. Jamal's been terrible. Can't get over screens, can't recover, slow on rotations, gets beat backdoor. Jamal's been the worst. The problem is now you have Jamal and you have Joker, and you can't get those two guys to defend together. One of them is going to have to be able to meet the challenge. Nobody's going to want it to be the big fella. I don't know if it can be Jamal. That to me is your entire problem with the defense.
Well, it sounds like we're going to have some fun DEF CON conversation when we come back. Why don't we do a little bit of a title odds DEF CON here for the Denver Nuggets? We'll be back next year on Locked On Nuggets. All right. Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use that profit boost that you get on an NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for two. That's right, flights, tickets, the whole experience. If you've already looking at the board and thinking about which team can make a deep run, this is absolutely the perfect time to lock in. Matt talked about the Knicks playing harder. I actually used said boost on the New York Knicks to be the Eastern Conference Finals, to win the Eastern Conference Finals. I think that that's a good bet for this one. I think that the East is still wide open. They're trying to figure out who it's going to be, but the Knicks, Jose Alvarado, they just added Jeremy Sohan, who probably won't play as much, but they've got a lot of good things to think about. I think that that's a good one, and you can check it on futures and pick and if your pick does actually cash, you can send yourself to the NBA Finals as a result. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. We are also brought to you today by TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert start to finish without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending several hours trying to figure out forms, trying to understand what you owe, what you don't owe, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person, or you can connect online. They'll handle everything from the W-2s to the self-employment forms. I've got some 1099s I got to figure out. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. It's a huge time saver. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local TurboTax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit TurboTax.com/local to book your appointment today. We'll be right back on Locked On Nuggets. Final segment, Locked On Nuggets. Thank you for tuning into the show. Okay, Matt, let's discuss the DEF CON rating. Obviously, go from 5 is the, hey, everything is sunshine, peachy rainbows and whatnot for Denver's title odds. And 1 is they do not have a shot anymore, or it's at least very much in jeopardy. Where are you at after seeing this team on the first 3 games back from post All-Star break?
You go first.
I'm at a 3. I'm at a 3.
I'm proud of you.
I'm not going to go that far. And here's the thing. I still think that Aaron Gordon is incredibly important for this team. And this is me stealing your entire flow, word for word, bar for bar. I am taking Aaron Gordon for being the most important Nugget for the rest of the season. And his right hamstring is the most important tendon for the Nuggets this entire rest of the season. Because my God, it looks horrible when he's not there on the defensive end. He connects everything that they do. He gives them both the blending on the offensive and defensive end. And it just feels like they have missed him so much. So if he does come back and is healthy and is ready to go and can survive in the playoffs and not sustain an additional setback, then Denver still has a great shot. A great shot. Will it happen? I don't know. It's very shaky.
I'm at a 3-2. I think the defense is enough to drag him down from a 4, which is where I was probably before the stretch of basketball since Joker came back.
Same.
I want to kind of talk about this is we're in this moment right here. The Clippers loss was bad, and then it was followed up by this one after on Friday night show, it's not like I wanted to like pour cold water on stuff on the end of Friday night show, but I was trying to warn people. I was trying to say, hey, this is a nightmare spot the Nuggets are walking into. It is a nightmare spot. Teams on a 3rd and 4 back-to-back on the road, when they play a game before 4 o'clock Eastern since 2003, those teams are now, after today, 21-52. They win 29% of the time. Oh, but Matt, the home team usually wins. Okay, how about when you're the favorite? 10-13. Sub 500 for favorited teams. You don't win in this spot. Oh, but these other guys were out. That's worse. That's worse. Because now it's a bad rest. You're completely off your body clock. You're exhausted on 3 and 4 on short rest. And now it's a letdown game. You have no scouting report on this.
Why couldn't the Lakers and Celtics have played in this spot for Peacock and the Nuggets played in the evening?
It's always a thing.
Oh, yeah.
People are talking about, what about bad spots? When do we run out of it? I want them to win every game. I get it. This is a frustrating stretch, but this is a frustrating look at the totality of this. They were 16-10 without Joker. Then they went 2-6 when he came back.
They're playing 500 basketball over the course of this stretch.
It's bad. But here's also another thing I have to say, which is the Denver Nuggets this season. Like, what I don't get is when we start going into all this stuff about like they're not a contender and all these types of things. Like, I need you guys to look up at the whole season, because that's what DA is doing. If you want to know the good thing about Adelman, this is the difference between him and Malone. Is Malone would not be able to stand these kinds of losses, just like you can't. But they needed somebody who had a broader, bigger picture about this.
It's an endearing quality for the fans, for Michael Malone to live with his heart on his sleeve in this situation, but not necessarily an endearing quality for the team when it's a 24-hour, 24/7 kind of thing.
Yeah. In October, they were 3-2. In November, they were 11-3. In December, they were 9-5. In January, they were 10-6. They're 3-6 in February. So you have as bad as it's been, because there was this idea of they've been, because I understood why. It's since that hot start, just those 12 games, they've been bad. No, they haven't. They've won way more games than they've lost. The team's still really good. They're not playing well right now. They're getting caught in a lot of these spots where it's just you can't. And you're absolutely right to be you can't afford these losses. They can't. Every single one of these that they lose, they're risking the chances of them losing a top 3 seed. But guess what? They started today in the 3rd seed in the West, Ryan. Where do they finish today?
I cannot believe the rest of the Western Conference.
Why can you not believe it when I tell you this over and over? Listen to me. I've been doing this for 14 years here.
Blinders on, man. It's hard.
I've been covering this league for 18 years. I'm telling you. Whenever you're because people in the chat are they're going to fall into the play-in tournament. No, you're not. Do you know why? These other teams are going to lose too.
Yeah,
because they're flawed too.
Yeah.
The Lakers are flawed. The Wolves have no floor. The Wolves can beat OKC and the Pistons and then turn around and lose to the Sixers without Embiid, who've been playing like cheeks.
They lost by 27.
The Lakers can't beat any team that has a pulse. They're helpless against them. Worse than the Nuggets. Way worse than the Nuggets. The Rockets hate each other. That team hates each other. The Nuggets don't hate each other. And so, I get it. I understand how it feels right now. I can't, as an analyst, tell you that you guys are screwed. I would tell you. This is the biggest thing. I would promise you that if this team sucked, I would tell you. Because if you've been listening to the show for long enough, you know that when they weren't ready, I was they're not ready yet. They're not ready yet.
Okay. What do you say to fans that are staring up at OKC and San Antonio right now? 2 teams that you said it's going to be a battle, it's going to be a war, and are worried about the gap widening between those teams and Denver at this point. Not just in the regular season, but in what you expect them to do in a playoff. It
doesn't matter. It's 0-0 when you get in that series. It's about, can you figure out how to beat that team 4 out of 7 times? That's it. Look, and then this is where I'm going to go back to. You were never going to get the 1 seed. There was no scenario this season where you were going to get the 1 seed.
Yeah.
Not with how OKC is built, not with the floor that they have. There was no scenario. You were never going to be the favorite. And if you're like, yo, but San Antonio, I would tell you San Antonio is running a little hot right now. San Antonio is also extremely inexperienced. Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, Victor Wembanyama have never been in a playoff series.
True. It matters.
Those teams usually do not make it out of the second round. Usually.
True.
Maybe we're in like a totally different era. The Thunder, as good as they were
Lost
2 years ago,
round. Yeah,
lost in the second round.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to win 4 times. Somebody's like, we can't beat both. Maybe. You don't know until you get there. Like you can't.
You also
give
may
up
not
on
have
the
to beat
season.
both.
You can't give up on the season because Brandon Pajemski made floaters.
Yeah.
This is my point. Is like, look, guys. And the other thing I will tell you is just when they face a team that they get up for, they do look like contenders. Their problem is that they don't know how to coast. That's honestly a problem with this team, Ryan. That might be like my biggest takeaway from this week. They don't know how to coast. The Spurs did this thing when they were in their prime where it was like they didn't give max effort, but they still managed to beat the bad teams by 10, 15 points.
Yeah.
Denver can't do it. It's either like we're getting up for these teams and we're beating Houston and we're beating, all like they've beaten good teams. It's either that or like they're mid and they might lose to the Kings at home. They might lose to the Bulls at home. They lost to the Warriors without Steph, Draymond, and Porzingis. We got blown out by the Spurs and OKC. Yeah, you did. You did. That's true. You got blown out by the Spurs and OKC when you had injuries. If you have injuries, you will probably get blown out by Spurs and OKC. Fully healthy, that matchup is different. Again, you have to find a way to win 4 times out of 7. It is about finding answers. That's it. And you don't know what condition they're going to be in. You don't know what condition you're going to be in.
Do the Nuggets have the answers? Do they have the answers defensively? Is this a thing where we are grasping at straws in a series trying to figure out what the hell they're going to do to stop Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Victor Wembanyama without compromising their entire defensive scheme?
I mean, I don't know if there's any reason not to compromise the entire defensive scheme. It sucks.
Fair.
Like, but
Yeah,
I would just say
at this point,
I would just say, like, if you want to bail, you can bail. Right?
I don't know if I want to bail. I'm asking the questions.
I think a lot of people in the chat are talking like it, but what I don't understand is like, all right, go watch the Avs.
Yeah.
Wait for football season. You can put your hopes on Bo Nix. Best of luck to you. Like,
Ooh.
That's fine. But I do think that this team is worth believing in. I think this team is better than they've played. I think this team is better than they've shown. I think this team has gotten hit with a lot of things that have happened at once. It doesn't mean that there's not problems. It doesn't mean they don't have to play better. They do. But my thing is also, and I said this at last year too, I was like, you have to be better by the end of the year. They were. That's why they made the second round and pushed OKC to 7 games, which nobody thought was going to happen, including us. And like, you can doom all you want, but you're still going to play these games. They're still going to go out there. And when they start winning, you're going to be right back in, and you should be. I understand being frustrated. I do. I get it. They have blown so many opportunities this season. And if you really want my honest to God opinion, I will tell you, I said this now on Twitter and I do mean it. And I mean it for Luka Doncic and Anthony Edwards and Nikola Jokic. These kinds of identities where you seem like you're an unserious team are a reflection of the best player. Those players dictate the culture of organizations, and every GM will tell you that. Every executive in the league will tell you that. So like if somebody's going to set it now, Joker's coming off an injury, and I think that's a lot of this. It's just like he had his first major injury, and it's really impacted him. He's awesome today, offensively, great. But like, they got to hit with more force and physicality and be serious every single night. That's what it's going to take.
It's going to take a lot. It's going to take progress. They have to start making progress. That's the thing. Is you talked about them being a better team at the end of the season. They are not currently a better team. They have trended backwards, and it's time for them to move forwards.
Can I do this?
Yeah.
You are what your record tells you are.
And they're the 5th best team in the NBA.
And they're the 5th best team in the NBA.
Hey, remember what I said last year? They're about the 5th to 7th best team in the NBA. That they haven't improved. So it's time for them to.
Do you really think they're not better than last year?
I think fully healthy they are better, of course. Yeah. I think fully healthy they are better. But like, I can't put it on that I think they have these guys have to start showing that even without some of the players that they have, that they can actually play good. That they can actually you can't have your entire defensive identity tied to having Aaron Gordon and Peyton Watson. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous.
They don't, Ryan. Peyton's got nothing to do with this, just Aaron.
You're right about that for what it's worth statistically.
The other thing I think is the other thing I will say is I think there's probably more experimentation going on than people want to believe. And that's the other part of this long-term stuff that people really don't like. If you're going to do this stuff, you have to be more willing to lose regular season games. That was a lot of Adelman's kind of pitch was we might lose more regular season games, but we're going to try and manage minutes and we're going to try and figure out what works. Okay. Now, they should have won this game today. They should have executed better. They should have defended better. They should have played better in the first and fourth quarter. And if they did, they would have won this game. They should have played better in the fourth quarter versus the Clippers, and they would have won that game. And they've had too many of those. They have had too many of those. They have squandered what should be. It should be OKC, Denver, and San Antonio battling over the 2 seed. Then the rest of them can figure out their nonsense.
100%.
You described it today as a morass, which I was just that's unfair. The Hawks are in the morass of the teams that are in the
that's
bog.
Purgatory. Morass is hey, you don't really have a shot, but you get a token chance.
I think, especially with OKC's vulnerabilities that they've shown this season, I just think you got to look at it as in they have a shot. They just don't. I think the big thing here is we should be reasonable and say they don't have a shot. It's not as high as it should be. They should be in way better position. They should have locked in way earlier. They shouldn't have lost those early games when they were healthy. They should have played much better at home. These home losses are inexcusable.
Yeah.
And they got to play better. I also will remind you, still have 2 months before the playoffs.
You whispered a little bit too loudly for your mic.
You have 2 months before the playoffs.
Oh.
2 months before the playoffs. There's there is a quarter of the season left. And if they don't play better, then you're right. If they keep playing like they are in the month of February, you're right. They're going to be the 6th seed or in the play-in or whatever. I don't think they'll continue. You think that they're a sub 500 team? Because I don't.
Yeah, I don't think they'll continue to play like February. They'll probably play December or January, as opposed to February where they've been horrible, or November when they're actually elite. There's a gap between those two. Anything else you got?
We're already over. So I just want to ask you, they beat the Blazers by the largest, in franchise history. And that was another reason why I hated this spot for them. Right. This is very typical of me to be you don't want to win by that much. Not good.
Yeah. I hear you.
Whenever you have a high like that, you're going to come back down. And this was such a natural spot. I do want to ask you this though. I've made this case to you over and over again. And I'm not always convincing. I'm very rarely convincing. I feel like, are you starting to see, at least hypothetically, what I'm talking about when I say that the rest and travel is more important than the opponent?
I have always agreed with you on that. It's sometimes you just don't want to listen when the opponent also is bad. And those Warriors aren't a bad team, but do not have.
It's the flip side of that, though, is what I care about, which is when these teams are playing in scheduled density and they're having to play Denver, even if they're at home, they're going to be more tired because Denver's schedule from here on out is they have way fewer games. They have more time in between these games. They don't have as much.
They have a lot of back-to-backs in March. They don't have any back-to-backs in April. And they do have a lot more home games towards the end of the season, but they still have to get there. And there's this stretch of games that they have between now and basically March 17th, I want to say, when they play Philly, when this next 4 weeks is going to be really tough. It's going to be a really, really tough stretch for the Nuggets.
Well, hang on. Well, let's look at this because we got time. We're already over.
At this point, we do.
Yep. I've already ruined it. It's fine. So you want till the end of the month, right? Till February 1st or till March 1st or April 1st?
I want until March 17th.
Till March 17th. Okay.
Yeah. Because I think that's when it evens out a little bit.
Okay. So they have 3 back-to-backs, which is tied with a bunch of teams for second most. They do have they've got 2 rest advantage, 3 rest disadvantage. It's 6-6 home and away. So this is tough. But then you come out of that, and then what happens?
And you get all the advantage. You get all the advantages at that point. But it's
would you rather be playing? And like, I don't believe in getting hot late. I really don't. It's not a thing. But if you're trying to, I will tell you this: it's better to get hot late if you're trying to secure a higher seed.
I would rather flip those two segments of the schedule. I would rather.
I understand that, but like, think of it this way: but here's the problem with your side. Think of it this way: what if you surge? If it's easier right now and you surge, and then your thought is you're like, well, we can just kind of coast out to the end, right? Well, you start doing that, and all of a sudden the hot team starts catching up to you, and now you've already burned yourself out. And you feel like you got to press it.
To me, you get to pick and choose at that point how hard you want to play and when you want to play hard. And having that choice is really valuable.
I hate this version of Matt. I don't know.
This version of Matt is just he's a flowery daisy of sunshine.
This has been the weirdest season where I'm the one trying to convince Nuggets fans that they're good.
Yeah.
It's bizarre.
It's like, it's funny. Like Denver won 53 games in 2023, and they probably could have won 60 if they really pushed for it. But like they didn't have to. And so they coasted. And I remember in that season being like, I saw what I needed to see. It didn't matter that they lost 4 games in the middle of March because they had already proven it. Like, it's going to be okay. This one, like, I still need to see that they can match up defensively. Like, I think that they're going to be in a lot of long playoff series because they don't have that killer instinct from a defensive standpoint. Like, they don't have that. And
how was Matt in 2023 is a question. I said they were going to win the title at midseason and kept it the whole, like, I was like, they're going to win.
Yeah.
They're going to win.
I don't remember when I called it. I think I was still unsure at that point because it was like a too good to be true kind of thing. Because nothing good ever happens to the Nuggets. And
yeah, you called it in Game 5 after the buzzer hit 0. No, when we were in the locker room and you actually saw the trophy is when you called it.
That is not true, but I appreciate it. Man, it feels like there's just a lot of emotions that have been tied to this season.
So the comments after the game for the players were interesting because the players were like, Christian was pretty pissed.
Yeah.
And Joker was like really concerned.
Yeah.
Although Joker was like, we're not creating open shots. And I'm like, for the love of God, it's just the defense, man.
I think part of the clutch, like they can still make shots in the clutch and they're just really contested and pretty tough. I don't think they generate a lot of easy stuff in the clutch.
No one does.
Maybe that's what he's talking about, but like, I think he's more thinking about the turnovers and like Murray having to thread a pass into him that had no business. And
yeah, I mean, look, there a lot of this. Somebody mentioned the transition stuff. I have to look at it, but like they're bottom 5 in clutch time turnover rate. That shouldn't surprise anybody. Again, don't turn the ball over. Hashtag in the scouting report. Don't like. I think here's one of the reasons why I'm so optimistic. Honestly, Ryan.
Okay.
When I look back at this season and all of these losses, the pattern to me is not they played soft, they didn't try, they were lazy. It wasn't that. It's literally like I can point 17 things that went wrong at once. And you can use that as that just shows you it's not our season. Okay, but what if those things stop happening? Where it's like you talk about the 50-50 balls, some of that's effort and focus. Some of that's just like the ball bounce. Like it just bounces that way.
Some of it is athleticism though. And some of it is that this is a pretty unathletic and older team.
I don't find it to be, I don't watch them and think that they're old and decrepit the way you do. I don't see them that way.
Like, I mean, do you see them playing with a lot of burst?
On creating cuts and getting out.
Yeah, like so many of the things that they're doing are more technical. They're so much more like nuanced and game plan centric and reading the floor and taking advantage of opposing teams. It is not because they're more athletic than the other team. And sometimes like the Minnesota series came down to that in Game 7. It was because
the Minnesota series came down to them gassing out. They pushed themselves too far. It wasn't about athleticism, man. It was
I mean, they certainly one more team had more energy and physicality at the end than the other.
That's not athleticism. That's literally just like exhaustion. It's just
younger legs definitely helps in that regard.
I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think athleticism's got anything to do with that. Let us know in the comments what you think.
It'll be interesting. Yeah, I mean, DEF CON 3. I'm still at DEF CON 3. I
should just go to 1 because I blasted them on the Clippers game, and then they go out and they do that, and then Like, here's what sucks. I feel like the only thing I can do is like I have to belittle and demean this team, and then they will respond and make me look stupid. And it's the only way for me to like.
That was my entire playbook. You're stealing my whole flow, my word for word, bar for bar.
Yeah,
flow,
but you've been
Matt.
dooming him all season. You doomed him in 2023.
All right. I think that's going to do it. You got anything else?
No, we're good.
All right. That is going to do it for this episode of Locked On ASMR. Thank you so much for tuning into. I can't keep doing it. It makes me uncomfortable. Everybody hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. Really appreciate the love and support on the podcast. This was a really good show. Swiper will be back with you early this week, and then Matt and I will react on Tuesday nights, and then Nuggets play the Celtics on Wednesday night. Everybody have a good one. Talk to you soon on Locked On Nuggets.